First of all, I'd like to extend my thanks to ICD and the people and the staff of ICD, especially to our friend and my friend Mark, for keeping not just this conference alive, but the spirit that this conference, annual conference, bring, not just here, Berlin, just among us, the participation of this conference, but I'm sure beyond the environment of this building, beyond of Berlin, beyond of us. And I do consider as a chance for myself and as honor, be inviting here and sharing some views from myself, from my country, and from the region which I belong to. It's my second time here in this conference. My first time was 2 years ago when I was in office. And I really can confirm that I find the same spirit, especially among the youth, which is present in this conference. Because the energy, dynamism of the youth, developed by experience of the others, is a very important signal for our future, which we discussed so far. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We are proud with our flag, like every country. But as I said, I come from a region which is very well known not just in Europe, but all around the world, which is the Balkans. A region which, in fact, it's not part of political network of European Union, but it's really part of European continent. It's a real part of European culture. It's a real part of European heritage. It's a real part of European future. It's a very important region for Europe and not only for it. It's a crossroad, very important key one, which connect the Europe with other continents, with Africa, with Asia. It's a region with some different nations and countries, and a region with a very rich culture, with good and bad experiences. It's a region which has been known even for many wars in the past. After the world wars, Balkan wars have been very key points of the historians, studies, experiences. Not far from here, from nowadays, just a decade ago. It was a terrible theater of war, a place of genocide, a place of war crimes, a place of rape, killings, ethnic cleanings, and hate. A place which consider or called powder of cake because of such hate which exists among different countries, different natures. But countries and nations which reflect and had a very rich legacy in culture. All of them. I do not like now to talk about the wars and the crimes what happened, because nowadays it's much more important to me to talk about the realities which now exist in the region. Decade after such horrible times. Now the region which considered as a powder of cake, considered as a region of chances. I would like just to talk more about the real politics, maybe because of my experience as a president, as a minister, as a parliamentarian, and as a politician. During my time in office, which for a president you know is 5 years, we, the heads of states of this region, Croatia, Serbia, Albania, Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Macedonia, Kosovo, and Montenegro, we have met each other within 5 years, officially and non-officially, all together in the same table more than 10 times. And we had possibility to discuss, to see each other in face to face, to underline threats, to propose the approaches, and to refer our experiences. And nowadays, there is no anymore the war. The hate is facing and fighting properly, in my belief, but still challenges are there, different kind of challenges. A decade ago, the war produced such terrible things that we very sadly heard in this morning by the Sheikh about the Rohingya. The same thing happened even in this region, just here, in the middle of the European continent. I would like just to bring a piece of experience of Albania, which in fact avoided completely to be part of such war. And we achieved successfully not to be part of the war. But during 1999, because of the war, genocide, and ethnic cleansing, Albania, a country with 3 million people population, received, hosted, and cared for 1 million refugees from Kosovo. It was considered at the time that those people never will be back in their homes. Hopeless, homeless. But we thought and we believed in the international mechanisms, like we discussed today and this morning, to intervene and to get a solution. In this region and this case, we had solution. And we enjoy today the solutions. But sometimes intervention failed, like in case of Bosnia and Herzegovina in Srebrenica, when United Nations troops didn't to act and failed to act. But in case of Kosovo, after the NATO intervention, I can say you that unbelievable way, within 48 hours, 48 hours, 1 million refugees from Kosovo back 100% to their home. Not a single refugee remains nowadays in Albania. Because they trust, they believe, they love their homeland and the countries. But it was helped. It was helped by cautious of international community. which of course acted based on decision makers, but pressed and pushed by public opinion and by the people like here in ICD and others places. So, solution came to the source of the conflict. The solution didn't came to Albania. The solution didn't came to other places where the refugees from Kosovo settled, some in Macedonia or in Germany or in Switzerland. But the solution came to the source of the conflict, the source of problem. So we experience such case. And in fact, I believe that we have to enrich such positive traditions, positive experiences, and making hope and trust real. Nowadays, we are working very hard to overcome any kinds of hate between countries, among people, because the war has no winner. The hate has no winner. And I'm so happy to talk, especially when in a place there are lots of youth and young people. And for that reason, in Albania since 2 years ago, we have settled, and it's functioning now, a regional center of youth for dialogue between Serbian and Albanian young people. And you know, just maybe has been so routine choice. I don't know exactly. But the main place which has been built during the dictatorship, communist dictatorship in Albania, now belongs to the youth for dialogue. And it is active, it is real. When the young people from Albania, Serbia, Kosovo, Macedonia, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina gather together each year and know each other, discuss each other, raise questions to each other, debate to each other, but even sing and dance each other. So, the conflicts and war in this region now are past. But we know very well that good neighboring relations and respect is not for granted, nowhere. We have to care, we have to feed, we have to serve. Thanks God, now the main focus of the countries and the nations of this region is not anymore to hate each other and the war, but to European integration. As I said, no country from this region is still not a member of the political club. But absolutely the European integration as a process is vital. I do like to share some experiences from my country and myself, not just my time in office, but even when I met people in my country or in other European countries and beyond that. We are cautious for lots of challenges that European Union itself is facing nowadays, different kinds of challenges. We cannot ignore it. And European Union member states cannot ignore it. But they have to face these challenges. Financial problems, political problems, populism on one side, the hate of extremists on the other side. and some other challenges. Refugees, waves, terrorism. So all of these kinds of threats are real. We cannot just escape from them. But on the other side, we as a country in this region, which know ourselves and believe ourselves as a European identity countries and nations. Because if we see Albanians, young people, Croatian, Serbian, Macedonian, and the others in Oxford University or in German universities, French universities, Austrian universities, they have no differences among them. Nobody can identify that this is European Union student, this is not European Union member countries, girl or boy. Intellectually, they are the same. And they have the same aim for their life. So what we have to do is just to give them the chance. Because of that, the European integration is absolutely important as a political movement, but is vital, is extremely important as a process, which I have addressed several times to EU member states representatives to keep alive the European integration process. Because I do consider the process more as a developing and civilization process than a political one. So, European integration process, which now is the main focus of the Balkan countries, or Western Balkan countries, new terminology now, is absolutely vital to keep alive, firstly for the people of this region. But I do believe even for European Union member state citizens, because challenges are the same. Terrorism is threatening the citizens here in Berlin, in Germany, in France, in UK, in Belgium, in the same in Tirana, or in Belgrade, or in Athens, or in Rome. Poverty the same. Corruption and organized crime the same. The misunderstanding among the culture, diversity the same. Albania has a long and very rich tradition and legacy, 4,000 years. And we are proud for our culture and try to preserve it, to share it, but even to profit by the others. Coming to the religion point, which we have, and I have great respect. Albania, it's a country with its own experience. In Albania, we have 3 different religion communities. Muslim one, which is the majority. We have Orthodox and Catholics. But coexistence and respect among them is one of the best values that we are proud about. Let me to bring you just example, which is not such well known around the world, because Albania is not a big country, not a big nation, not a big voice. But nowadays it has been referring more and more as example of respect. During the Second World War, when the Jewish people have been persecuted, Albania has been the unique case in the Europe, because not a single case have been identified that the Jewish people have been handed over to the Nazis. Lots of Jewish people came from different other European countries and got shelter in Albania. And the number of Jewish people in Albania by end of Second World War was twice comparing with the number of Jewish people in Albania in the beginning of Second World War. And the Muslim families gave them their names, family. They opened the doors, got the shelter, protected them, and lived together till the end of Second World War. This is now very well known. Nowadays, in Albania, people live in harmony with each other, besides what kind of religion they believe to. But we had another terrible experience after the Second World War in Albania, when the communists came in power, and they declared the Albania the only country in the world atheist one. Demolished churches, mosques, sent in prison, in jail, priests and imams, considering them as enemies of ideology and the state. But they couldn't to destroy the faith and the belief in the heart and the soul of the people, because it's impossible. And they couldn't to destroy the harmony and the respect, mutual respect. And as a country, of course, we are proud, like anyone, for national identity, but we have cared a lot about mutual respect between state and the religion, preventing state intervening to the rights of the religion for anyone, and at the same time, the religion to respect the state. So this harmony and coexistence is possible and might be functional in a small country even, in a state, and just sharing this experience with the others. I would like just to come to another point, which I do believe that is absolutely important nowadays for facing any kind of challenge that we are just affronting, which is economical development. My question to myself, firstly, then to the others, is that does the culture diplomacy works without peace and development? That's a challenge to me. How we can work to respect each other or to explain to each other the values of our culture or profit by the culture of the others in a hate environment, poisoned environment, or crashing environment. So, first, investment for peace and stability will create absolutely the normal environment for promoting our culture, for preserving the culture, enriching the culture and civilization. We were witnesses of terrible acts what happened in Syria by ISIS people against the world heritage in culture. It was not just part of Syria, but it was a world heritage. And this world heritage now has been destroyed. And we didn't have possibility because it was war theaters there. So I do believe that beside the having the peace, the instrument and infrastructure in an economical, sustainable development environment remain required for opening possibilities for the people to good understand each other, to well understand, to transmit the values, and enrich the culture. But I fully agree that culture diplomacy absolutely remains one of the best tools for bringing the cautious of the people towards the future. Because, as I was presented here for several speakers, the education is one of the most important things. We cannot have the education without communication. And having communication, we have to build and to consolidate the good understanding and the respect to hear each other. So, in this region, when the hate and the war, just a decade ago, were very present, was very real, now, after a short time, considering that the war brings such a terrible hate among the people, it's possible. It's possible, it's real, with good and bad examples, with failure and successes, which cannot be avoided, but can really be successfully faced. Both of them, failure can be faced and success can be faced. I would like to mention, not just because here in Berlin, but as important signal for what we are fighting for nowadays, the hope, especially the hope among the young people, among the youth. The Berlin Initiative, which is a real commitment of the European Union to assist and to commit itself on the Western Balkan countries with different projects, which will not help only the infrastructure of the Balkans, but will facilitate the free movement of the goods and the people of Europe and other continents, especially Africa and Asia, for bringing to each other the experiences of their own culture. So I do believe that such challenges exist in one side, and the solution are in the other side. The goodwill, it's important to function as a key for open the door. But we have not forgotten and never forget that destabilization of any kind of region, any kind of democracy, always remain a challenge. In this region, the war now is ended. But does the stability real exist in terms of democracy? We have found so far so-called terminology of hybrid democracy. I have invested in politics like the others. I really have no any idea to explain to myself the terminology hybrid democracy. What does it mean? And the region and the countries in this region, I do believe that are facing this challenge in terms of having stability through authoritarianism of the political leadership, through the lack of rule of law. Does it offer real stability for the future, ignoring these things for so-called stability for the moment? I do believe that it's a complex things that good understanding, respect, communication, and youth education is absolutely, to my belief, the best mechanism and the best tools to guarantee what we see as a benefit for the future. And the future is a responsibility. It's not just a chance. And the responsibility by the people, by the generation who has the time to live is accountability. Responsibility and accountability are values and principles of human being. For that reason, I would pray that my children first, and young generation, to stand for these principles, these values. It might be hard. It might be difficult. Might face some challenge and some failures. But no other alternatives. Because the future belongs to the youth. I don't see any other alternatives. Because of no other alternatives, that the youth belong to the future and the future belongs to the youth, there is no other alternatives for the values and principles that we discuss and we share together. Thank you so much, and I'm open for any questions, if you like.